A volunteer has been awarded 6.8 million after a German shepherd latched on to her arm for over 5 minutes at an animal shelter run by a troubled LA agency. I thought this would be pretty interesting. So, a woman who was volunteering at an LA animal shelter was awarded nearly $7 million by a jury after a 100-pound German Shepherd latched onto her for 5 minutes. Dear God, that is a huge, huge dog. 100 pounds? Kelly Kaneko, 36, was awarded 6.8 million Tuesday after the jury found the city liable for gross negligence inside the county-operated animal services facility. During the 2019 attack, Jax latched onto her arm, forcing her to drag herself to help after another employee could not hear her screams because they had headphones in. That's pretty crazy. The volunteer was asked to move Jax and had been told that he was grumpy, but not that he had previous biting incidents and was known as aggressive. Since the massive dog would not let go, she had to drag herself to the front where another person finally saw her and her nearly ripped off arm. When she arrived at the ER, her hand was officially dead. Her attorney told the Los Angeles Times, adding that she needed grafts and several procedures. So that's a graft over right forearm. That's pretty brutal. That's really brutal. According to the LA Times, who spoke with Kaneko and her attorney, the woman still has severe nerve and bone damage in her right arm. During the October 2019 incident, the aggressive animal latched onto the woman's arm, cutting off blood flow to her hand. Her hand gets less blood now than it used to. It always feels cold, attorney Ivan Pouchot said of her remaining injuries, and is often a different color. She has a very faint pulse and is a very serious injury. Despite the amazing work they did, she hasn't been made whole, Pouchot said. One thing's for sure, her attorney is very good because, again, this is a lot of money, like a lot of money. Even though this is California, this is still a lot of money. So Kaneko said she had initially been motivated to help out at the Los Angeles Animal Shelter in Lincoln Heights after hearing the shelters are underserved. I love animals with all my heart, Kaneko said while sobbing during her interview with a Southern California outlet. I felt so bad that this was their situation, she said of the animals. While working at the shelter in 2019, she was asked to move Jax from his kennel to a different part of the facility so a family could meet him, her lawsuit states. She said she had been warned that the dog was grumpy but given no more info. In reality, Jax had been his previous owner and was in fact surrendered back to the shelter over his aggressive tendencies, Pochot alleged. See, if that's the case, that's a pretty serious situation because once a dog starts basically biting their owner, that is a very serious problem. Because now that dog doesn't really view you as its owner, right? Like that gets into a really bad situation. Like your dog basically does not respect you basically at all. Like that is a very, very dangerous situation. And we're talking about a German Shepherd. Like a German Shepherd is super intelligent, right? And if you have a super aggressive German Shepherd that has basically no respect for, I guess, humans at all, it's going to end badly. Like for them to not take any precautions really with this dog is insane. So it's actually it's actually like an amazing thing that she was awarded this amount of money because one, they completely screwed up. Like the shelter completely screwed up, right? But two, you had someone that potentially just really cared about animals, wanted to help animals, and got put in a really bad situation with a dog that should have been managed a lot better. So during the trial, a Los Angeles animal shelter employee, said his aggressive demeanor was noted on his kennel, which the attorney denied. There definitely wasn't one on the day of the incident, he said. Kaneko had not been trained to deal with animals like Jax and was working with a 100-pound German Shepherd alone at the time of the attack. When she released him from his leash, he jumped onto her, grabbing her arm. Kaneko made numerous attempts to break free and call for help to no avail. She ultimately was forced to drag herself and the dog some 250 feet to the front of the facility where only one other worker was stationed. Like, that's crazy. The fact that she was able to do that is insane. Like, we're talking about like dragging like a 100-pound attacking animal 250 feet. The worker, however, had been wearing earplugs, a recommendation from the shelter's previous owners to prevent hearing loss, Pucha said. The employee still could not hear Kaneko's screams, forcing her to drag her and the dog to the very front of the facility where the employee eventually found her. Kaneko was taken to USC Medical Center where she underwent multiple surgeries and skin grafts for life-altering injuries, and in total the volunteer spent more than a month in the hospital. That probably cost a crazy amount of money. Doctors initially said she would lose her hand, but they were able to save it with major disclaimers about her abilities moving forward. There's lots of things I won't be able to do for life, Kaneko said. In their interview with the Los Angeles Times, Puchich and Kaneko called their win a victory for a lot of volunteers who would now be better protected. According to Puchich, Jax was euthanized months after the attack. That's sad, right? It's never a good thing to read about basically the ending of the life of a dog. But like, what do you do in a situation where you have a dog, like again, a dog that is extremely intelligent, that has no respect for humans, that is willing to attack humans? Like, what do you do in that situation? I don't know. I don't know the right answer for that. And if people stumble upon this, feel free to give your thoughts if you have more knowledge about this. But like, once a dog starts attacking humans multiple times, what do you do? Like, like that ain't good. Like that is not good. Yeah. But for the volunteer that won this money, right? And once it's actually like put into her bank, like I don't know what she's actually going to get in terms of like her true settlement because she's going to have to give some money towards the lawyer. But let's just say that she comes out with this, like let's say with $5 million, right? So with $5 million, because again, I don't know exactly how much she's going to get after fees, costs, etc. Let's say that she pays off all of her debt. Number one, pay off all of your debt, right? Then probably put like not a 3 month, not a 6 month, but like a year worth of an emergency fund. So basically, all of your living expenses for a year, which shouldn't be too high because you basically have no debt, right? So if you had a house, like a mortgage, that's completely paid off, right? Because I said no debt, right? Now, if you're renting something, I would buy like a reasonable home, right? With some of that money, cash, so that I could literally start my new life after all this damage was done, so that I don't have to worry about my finances basically at all, right? So if you're completely debt free, your housing basically is covered, right? So that no matter what, you have your house, you have housing, which is an amazing thing. And you got a year long worth of like of an emergency fund where you could literally do nothing for a year and still be okay. I would then put that money, well, actually, I would technically, if I was her, I would pay a financial advisor maybe for like 1 to 2 hours to like have them teach me as much as I can in terms of finances to reach my financial goals, right? To get a better understanding of managing this type of money, this level of money. Because I highly doubt this individual has dealt with any sort of money remotely close to this amount, right? So you can either buy guides or like courses or whatever online, or you could pay like a few $100 or $1,000, $2,000 sitting with a financial advisor that will literally teach you everything that you ask them, everything you need to know about managing your finances. Because then that could really pay off very well for you in terms of your future. Because you could basically tell them, like, hey, I want to manage this money in a way where I could live off of this money, where it could generate income for me on a monthly basis for the rest of my life so that I physically don't have to work for money ever again for the rest of my life. Because, due to the damages of my hand, I'm not going to be able to have the same capability of earning an income like I did before, right? That's the way that this individual really needs to think about it, right? It's like basically she, in a sense, won a lottery, right? Now it's a pretty brutal way to win it, but basically she won a lottery. And the problem with winning this type of money in like a massive lump sum, there's a high chance that they will blow it, right? Especially if they had no experience with like this level of money in their accounts. There's a high likelihood that they're going to just spend all of their money, which is not a good situation because you are like if you lose all of this money and you have all the damages of your hand, it's going to be very difficult for you to live a good life. To live a good life in terms of financially speaking. Also, just quality of life too, because your hand's completely screwed up. But if I was her, that's what I would do, right? I would get out of debt, have an emergency fund, sit down with a financial advisor, have them teach me everything that I need to know to have this money be used, be invested in a way where I could live off of the money that it makes so that I never run out of money ever again and I will never have to work for money ever again. Let's see some of these comments, which by the way, if you want to learn how to get out of debt, go to 14bucks.com. So let's see. Best rated. Sounds about right. Known biting incidents and aggressive behavior. That dog should have never been alone with only one handler. Hmm. As a volunteer at animal shelters for many years, this is why I just do cats. Dogs can off you. We have plenty of big, strong, well trained dog volunteers at our shelter, and they are much appreciated. Yeah, like, I don't understand why they had basically like a female going against or managing a 100-pound aggressive German Shepherd. Like, a 100-pound German Shepherd, if it's aggressive, can outpower easily like a 200-pound dude. Like, you gotta be so careful. Let's see, if they're ex security, they can't be retrained as a family pet and will end up offing other dogs of their new family. Sad, but they need euthanized as soon as they no longer work for police or the army. Oh, that's sad. I hope that's not the case. Anderson, feel free to give your thoughts. I just thought this was kind of like an interesting thing because basically this is very similar to winning a lottery, but in a very brutal